Ever wonder why the 9 to 5 system feels so broken? It's because it wasn't built for the economy we live in today. Originally designed to create balance and fairness, it's now at odds with stagnant wages and record-breaking inequality. But here's what they didn't tell you. Its origins hold the key to understanding why the system is failing and what might replace it. How the 9-to-5 job became the standard. The story of the 9-to-5 job starts with a major shift in how people worked. Before factories, most work followed the natural rhythm of the day and the seasons. But with the rise of industrialization in the late 18th and early 19th centuries, factory schedules took over. Long shifts, often 12 hours or more, became the norm, and workers lost control over their own time. Owners focused on squeezing as much productivity as possible out of every hour, which meant harsh conditions, few breaks, and little concern for workers' well-being. These tough realities sparked early labor movements. For many, fighting for shorter hours was about more than comfort. It was about survival. By the 1880s, union campaigns had made 8 hours for work, 8 hours for rest, 8 hours for what we will. The rallying cry for change. Through strikes, protests, and negotiations, workers slowly won small victories. The idea of an 8-hour day started to take root, offering the promise of a more balanced life. The real turning point came in the early 20th century, thanks to Henry Ford. In 1914, Ford introduced a bold new policy at his factories. He set wages at $5 a day, more than double the industry standard, and established an 8-hour workday, 6 days a week. The impact was immediate. The day after the announcement, 10,000 people lined up hoping to work at Ford's plants. Ford's decision wasn't just about improving conditions. It was a strategic move. He recognized that workers who earned more and had reasonable hours would be more productive, and just as important, would have the money and time to buy the cars they built. Ford's higher wages translated into greater purchasing power, which helped fuel suburban growth and made homeownership possible for more families. This model set a new standard. Other industries followed, and the 5-day work week became common across America. For a while, the 9-to-5 system delivered on its promise. Steady paychecks, predictable hours, and a real shot at building a life, including buying a home. But this balance depended on strong worker protections and rising wages. Government policies and union bargaining power helped enforce these standards, ensuring workers shared in the economic growth their labor created. For many, the 9-to-5 job meant stability, the ability to save, and the chance to own a home. Goals that felt within reach. Over time, though, cracks started to show. As the focus shifted from worker well-being to maximizing corporate profits, many of the protections that made the 9-to-5 model work began to erode. The structure stayed the same, but the support system underneath it weakened. What once felt like a path to security now leaves many struggling to keep up, especially when it comes to big milestones like buying a home. This shift raises a big question. If the workday hasn't changed much, but the world around it has, why aren't workers seeing the same benefits as before? The disconnect between productivity and wages. One of the clearest signs that the system is out of balance is the widening gap between pay at the top and pay for everyone else. Since 1978, CEO compensation has soared by 1,500%, while average worker wages have gone up just 29%. At the same time, employees are putting in more than 9 hours of unpaid overtime every week. Despite working harder and producing more, most people are not seeing financial gains. Instead, over half of Americans now live paycheck to paycheck, struggling to cover basic expenses while executive pay and corporate profits reach new highs. This isn't just about numbers. It's about a model that funnels the rewards of rising productivity away from the workers who create it. A major turning point came with the 1919 Dodge vs. Ford Motor Company case. Henry Ford wanted to use company profits to raise wages and lower car prices, but his shareholders disagreed. The Michigan Supreme Court sided with the shareholders, ruling that the primary duty of a business is to maximize shareholder dividends rather than reinvest in workers or the community. This legal precedent set the tone for the next century, locking in an approach where profits for investors came first. For anyone planning a future, like saving for a down payment, this shift matters. Higher corporate profits don't necessarily translate into better pay or more affordable homes for workers. This focus on maximizing returns became even more entrenched in 1970, when economist Milton Friedman declared, "The social responsibility of business is to increase its profits, cementing the idea that labor is a cost, not an investment." Since then, companies have been rewarded for cutting costs, often at the expense of employees' financial security and well-being. The result is a workplace where wages lag behind, even as the cost of living rises. In the 1950s and 1960s, things looked different. The federal minimum wage in 1956 was $1 an hour, about $11.75 in today's dollars, and could support a two-person household above the poverty line. In 1960, the median home cost about $11,900, around $128 today, and the median household income was $5,600, about $60,000 today, resulting in a price-to-income ratio of just 2.1. That meant 60% of Americans owned homes. Today, those ratios have shifted dramatically, making it much harder for most people to afford a house on their current wages. This disconnect between productivity and pay isn't a natural result of economic forces. It's the outcome of deliberate choices. As labor has become more efficient, the benefits have increasingly gone to shareholders and executives, not to the people doing the work. Most workers now face more pressure, more unpaid hours, and greater financial stress, while the rewards of their productivity are concentrated at the top. For many, financial stability and homeownership feel more out of reach than ever before. The old promise of the 9-5, steady pay, security, and a path to owning a home has faded for a growing share of the workforce. Instead, workers are left to navigate a system where their efforts keep the economy running, but don't deliver the same opportunities as in the past. As the pressures on the traditional work model mount, it's becoming clear that the disconnect between productivity and wages is just one part of a much bigger problem. Why the 9-to-5 system is failing in the modern economy. Today, the 9-5 model struggles to keep up with a changing world. Globalization has shifted many jobs overseas, putting pressure on wages and reducing job security at home. At the same time, automation has cut the need for human labor in many industries, forcing workers to adapt to roles that don't always offer the same stability. The result is fewer opportunities for steady employment and a growing sense that the old system isn't built for today's economy. The rapid rise of the gig economy shows just how much things have changed. Platforms like Uber, DoorDash, and Fiverr offer flexibility, but often at the cost of reliable income and basic benefits. Over half of all workers are expected to participate in gig work by 2027, and 51% of gig workers say they wouldn't return to traditional jobs for any amount of money. This shift highlights a clear demand for alternatives to the 9-to-5, even if those alternatives come with new risks. Many people are drawn to the freedom, but they're also reacting to a lack of satisfaction and security in traditional jobs. For those who remain in standard employment, the boundaries between work and personal life have blurred. The average employee now works more than 9 hours of unpaid overtime each week. Add a daily 1-hour commute, and 55% of US employees checking email past 11 p.m., and the 9-to-5 quickly feels like 54 hours of obligation for 40 hours of pay. Remote work, while it eliminates the commute for some, has made it harder to set limits, with after-hours tasks and constant connectivity becoming the norm. The promise of a predictable workday has faded, replaced by a sense that work never really ends. Financial security, once the foundation of the 9-5, is no longer a given. Wages have grown just 29% over 4 decades. And after inflation, that's only about 2%. Meanwhile, the cost of living, especially for housing, healthcare, and education, has soared. Today, 62% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. 59% can't cover a $1,000 emergency, and 40% are behind on retirement savings. Even full-time workers often feel like they're falling behind, making big decisions like buying a home feel more out of reach. Dissatisfaction with the traditional model runs deep. A global study found that 38% of workers wouldn't wish their job on anyone, and nearly half, including 29% of executives, wouldn't recommend their career to young people. Many are searching for work that offers more meaning, flexibility, and time with family. Experiments with new work models are gaining traction. In the world's largest 4-day trial, 92% of companies kept the shorter week, reporting no drop in output and 71% lower burnout, proof that less can be more. Employees reported less anxiety and fatigue, and companies saw better retention. For anyone trying to balance work, family, and major goals like house hunting, these changes signal that a different approach is possible. Flexible work, gig jobs, and shorter work weeks aren't perfect, but they're a response to the reality that the old 9-5 isn't working for most people. As the way we work continues to evolve, it's clear that the search for balance and security is shaping what comes next. The 9-to-5 system was a groundbreaking idea when it emerged, designed to bring balance and structure to a rapidly industrializing world. But today, it feels out of step with a workforce craving flexibility and financial security. The gig economy, already growing 3 times faster than the broader U.S. workforce, reflects this shift. Over half of workers are expected to join it by 2027, signaling a turning point. This trend isn't just about adapting to new jobs. It's about rethinking work itself. The old model is breaking, and the real question now is, how do we build one that's fairer and more adaptable? Tell us what you think in the comments below. And if you found this breakdown helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe for more insights about the current state of the job market.